The first thing I wanted to talk about, and this is a kind of a hard thing, and they're topics that nobody wants to ever touch with women. I feel like uh, weight, aging, but most importantly, weight is such an important one. I realize that I very rarely touch this topic because it's terrifying. And I feel like also if you are in what's perceived as a smaller body, it's a little tricky talking about weight because I think rightfully so, people say you never struggled with your weight or you're in a smaller body. It's hard for you to understand. But I want to put like kind of an umbrella policy over this topic that I understand and appreciate the position that I come from. And whatever I say on this topic is really, really just coming from the heart and has nothing to do with physical size, but more so something that I'm observing out in the world with women. I went to an event the other day, a beautiful event, Jewish, a lot of Jewish women, but a mixed crowd. And something that I observed is that there was two things that stood out for me. Nobody was eating anything. I mean, not one thing. I didn't see anybody lift a cookie, a vegetable, a snack. And admittedly, I wasn't there the whole night, but I do feel as though you can get a sense of a room. And it's also not my first party that I've been to, right? I've been to many an event. And I noticed that there really is sort of this hesitation for women around eating and eating at events. And it sort of got me thinking about Ozempic. It's not to say, I'm not saying that there are many women not eating because of Ozempic, but I think this current Ozempic culture is so prevalent. It's so here. It's so widely used now that we would be naive to say that I'm sure a large percentage of nobody eating could have been tied to Ozempic. But also I think that there is a stigma around women and food and eating. I think we know. And I wanted to talk about it because somewhere along the line in society, it became normal and accepted for women to just be hungry all the time. And now there's a medication that makes you not hungry. And there are cases and instances where I think it's a magnificent drug with incredible capabilities for the right candidates. But we are seeing a little bit of an abuse of the product. And I think very specifically in women, and I'm very terrified about young women and even young girls. But we are already kind of ingrained from when we're young to sort of be hungry a lot. Now there's like medical support for that. And I think it's just confronting to walk among so many women and see so many of them hungry, walking around hungry, being hungry, denying themselves food, denying themselves, proper nutrition, all in the name of being thin. It's like thin is so the ultimate goal that we're willing to come at it at nearly any cost. And so something that I think is important to talk about with Ozempic, and I think, again, I want to reiterate, if you're a candidate who needs Ozempic, meaning you are obese, then this product is fantastic because it gets you to a baseline that's healthier and safer for you to start making the changes in your life. But Ozempic it's not really the solution. It's sort of like an entryway into your solution, right? Because the only solution that could take you long term, that is something that you will have consistent results with and prolong your life, is going to be a healthier lifestyle. So with that said, I think something that we're not talking about enough with this Ozempic, and especially as it pertains to like young, healthy women who just want to like lose a few pounds, who don't need Ozempic, If you're not eating, your body has to pull from somewhere. And I'm not a medical doctor, but this is just very basic science. So just follow along for a second. It's a calories in, calories out, which means that your body has to pull from energy that you're giving it if you're not eating food. If you don't have enough calories during the day, your body will not die. It will continue to survive by pulling from all the resources in your body. Pregnant women will often talk about this. You're not eating well, you're sick. A lot of women are vomiting for a lot of their pregnancies, or a large portion. They're not getting nutrients. The baby's fine. The baby's healthy. The baby's born at full weight. But what happens to the mom is that you start having really bad teeth problems and muscle problems, right, like all this stuff starts to fall apart after, because your body was pulling from other resources to provide the baby what it needs. The same thing is happening with Ozempic, right? You have the GLP-1, which is a chemical that comes into your body very shortly after you eat. It's very fast. It tells you like you're full, you're sated, like you don't need to eat anymore. That typically comes right after you're done a meal, and it's fleeting. It's for about like 30 or 45 minutes or so. You'll know that because even after you eat a huge meal, you might find yourself even like an hour and a half later being like, I'm hungry. So the GLP-1 floods your body and tells you like you're full. And so what's happening is people are taking week-long doses, right? There's 4 in a month. And so you're telling your body that you're full for a very, very, very long time. So people are not eating. And that's how the rapid weight loss happens. But what happens is that if you don't have food, your body's going to pull from somewhere. And where it's pulling from is muscle. It's catastrophic long term because women already have a propensity to have weaker bone density, more frail as we age. The greatest way to prevent that when you're aging and really have a long, strong life is to weight train. Muscle is quite literally the armor that takes you through your life. It's the difference between falling off a curb in your 60s or 70s or 80s and either hurting yourself slightly, getting back up, or literally never getting up again. We need our muscle. We need it so much. And so it worries me that people are going weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks without really adequate nutrition because you're pulling from your muscle. And as women, that's detrimental as we age. And I think we are not seeing it yet, but what I'm anticipating and what experts are anticipating is there's going to be a real problem with strength and overall health of the body as we continue to sort of see this more and more widespread Ozempic use. But deeper than that is this concept of why we have sort of just made it socially acceptable for women to be hungry all the time, because it's a basic form of self-care and self-love. If you are not nourishing yourself adequately, you have a much, much deeper question to ask yourself about what it is that you're missing, that you are not able to value yourself enough to give yourself nourishment and food. Because it's just a basic fundamental need that we have. And if you're overriding the system of, I'm going to keep food from you, right? Like it's our basic instinct is to stay alive, to eat, to drink, right? To try and seek love, community, safety. If you're overriding something as huge as hunger, then there's a deep check engine light that needs to be addressed in your body and in your spirit and in your life about why you really are trying to punish yourself in that way. So I know that's like very heavy, but it's been on my mind, and I can't not talk about it because it's hurting my heart. I know, like, you know, I was born kind of in a smaller body. I've maintained a smaller body. I will say it's not without work. I work extremely hard at it. And I'm not saying that Ozempic users are not working hard at it. In fact, if it's a means to an end, it's a fantastic tool. I'm more just kind of trying to really get women to understand that, like, our role is vital. Our work in the world is so important. And we can't do it hungry. We have to do it with full bellies, with energy, with strength, because without that, we can't really do our job. And if you look at the state of the world right now, it's like women are really needed, and we're going to need that energy to kind of do the work that we need to do. So if you're somebody out there who's really struggling with this, with kind of finding ways to nourish your body that feel okay, that feel safe, I just want to encourage you to talk to friends or talk to a loved one, someone that you trust. I think you'd be surprised that maybe some of your friends are also kind of suffering in silence. I think we've so normalized women being hungry and not eating anything that you would be surprised. I think there's larger communities and support. So yeah, that's what I want to say on that topic. I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, and that you guys hear that with a lot of love, and just even if you're on a journey, just to sort of think about it and think about like the best ways to get where you want to go while still honoring yourself. And also that our children are watching, our daughters are watching, our daughters are listening, they're listening to our conversations. And you would not tell your daughter, like, the things that we tell ourselves as women, we would never, ever, ever say to our children. We would never speak that way to our daughters. And yet they hear us, and they hear our rhetoric with our friends. They hear us on the phone, and they're watching. So if you don't love yourself enough to make any meaningful change, I hope that maybe like children could be a good enough reason to try and do better.